Russell Simmons is one of the most recognized and respected figures in the world of hip-hop and entertainment. As a pioneering mogul, he's built an empire that transformed the music industry and launched the careers of countless artists. But beneath the glitz and glamour of his public persona lies a much darker narrative. In this video, we're diving into the troubling allegations and controversies that have overshadowed Russell's career, exposing a side of the legend that many have preferred to ignore. From accusations of sexual misconduct to legal battles, let's unveil his dark past and the collapse of his shady business.
You were with Russell when he was with Kimora when she was 16?
I met this person when I was in high school in St. Louis, Missouri. I was modeling. I was 16 years old.
Yesterday, media mogul Russell Simmons' new YouTube network, All Def Digital, released a parody video that immediately had Twitter and the blogosphere in an uproar.
Today, most of the pictures on Rushguard's website show black or brown people.
I do think they were targeting black people. They were.
The latest powerful man brought down by allegations of sexual misconduct, music mogul Russell Simmons. There he is.
She says Simmons offered her a ride back home in 1991, but they wound up at his place where she says she was coerced into having sex.
How many countless women have said this? He has called me names. He has called us all house of bitches, all you. He has called us terrible things.
I was helping him cover it up for 22 years.
Russell Wendell Simmons was born in Queens, New York on August 4, 1957, the middle brother of Danny and Joseph Reverend Simmons. The brothers jumped on in hip-hop in the early stages of the phenomenon in the mid to late 1970s. And after taking time to learn the music industry, Russell realized it was time to push rap music further and became a concert promoter and artist manager. He was managing up-and-coming hip-hop artists around New York, like Curtis Blow and Run DMC, of course, which was fronted by his younger brother Joseph. Def Jam was co-founded by 20-year-old Rick Rubin in his dorm while studying at NYU. Rick, who was focusing on punk music at the time, came to Russell for help getting the label off the ground, and Def Jam as we know it was born. Together, they launched the successful careers of Run DMC, LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, and Public Enemy after securing a distribution deal with Columbia and CBS.
Currently represent like 40 artists, including Curtis Blow, Houdini, LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, Run DMC, of course. Davey D, Spider D, Sparky D, on a long list.
The label's roster continued to grow with the popularity of hip-hop, and Russell was producing television shows like Def Comedy Jam on HBO and Def Poetry Jam. And then he moved on to major films like The Nutty Professor and Def Jam's How to Be a Player. By this time, Def Jam had grown to major label status, acquiring sub-labels like Rockefeller and Murder Inc. Russell had also launched over a dozen businesses of his own under his company Rush Communications Inc. This includes Fat Fashions, a fashion brand that he founded in 1992. It started with the launch of Fat Farm, a clothing line that aimed to blend the urban aesthetics of streetwear with the sophistication of preppy fashion.
You got the Comedy Jam, you got the record company. Why fashion? Why are you venturing into this?
Well, you know what, I'm very narrow-minded in terms of the kinds of businesses I'm in, although from television to film to music to clothing, all of those things are from the same energy, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, it comes from young urban energy.
Urban references like using 9mm slugs for buttons, and logos based on the dice game CeeLo.
When you get CeeLo, you win all the loot. So, and that's part of being fat, I suppose.
See, the cool thing about this is like the music in a way, because the way people put it together is the way it is.
Fat Farm quickly became a cultural phenomenon, reflecting the rising influence of hip-hop on mainstream culture. Fat Fashions expanded to include several sub-brands, each catering to different segments of the market. But Def Jam Recordings was experiencing a number of financial struggles in the 90s, and Russell sold his remaining stake to Universal Music Group for $100 million. While financially beneficial, the sale led to controversies regarding creative control and the direction of the label, with some artists and industry insiders feeling the label lost its original vision and culture. In 2005, Russell also sold Fat Fashions to Kellwood Company for $140 million, though he continued to be involved with the brand for a few more years. Russell became well known for his philanthropic efforts and social activism. While his pioneering achievements, business ventures, and cultural impact serves as inspiration for the Black community, the stories of poor business practices, coupled with serious allegations of misconduct, were about to present a significant challenge to viewing him as purely aspirational.
This is Russell Simmons, successful entrepreneur and philanthropist. He thinks everyone should be financially empowered, so he developed the Rush Card. It's a prepaid Visa card. There's no credit check. Everyone is eligible to sign up. You don't even need a bank account. Just go to rushcard.com. Choose your style, and we'll rush your card to you.
In today's world, you have to have plastic. We created a prepaid Visa Rush Card so everyone will have access to the American dream.
I'm not satisfied with just getting by. I like to get ahead, and that's why I carry the prepaid Visa Rush Card.
I get my pay deposited directly to my Rush Card, so I never have to pay check cashing fees ever.
This is giving people access where maybe they didn't have it before. You can do direct deposit, you can pay your bills. This is helping you to a more stable financial future. In that way, it's very empowering, and I think those things are important for your financial freedom, for your financial independence.
In 2003, Russell founded UniRush, a financial services company. He founded RushCard as one of the first prepaid cards to focus on minority customers and charge lower than average fees. In the 2000s, the prepaid debit card market rose in popularity with unbanked individuals, or those who did not have any check-in or savings accounts, and largely rely on cash to pay their bills month to month. This service was a direct competitor for expensive check cash in stores and credit unions. People could purchase the Rush Card for a one-time fee of $3.95 to $14.95, and the monthly plan for prepaid users was $9.95 with a convenience charge of $1 for PIN transactions. However, signature transactions were free. The company grew to over 650,000 active users over the years, and it also served as a tool to rebuild credit history. Russell himself told CBS News, "The Rush Card is the embodiment of my message of empowerment because it is a better and more transparent option for millions of underbanked or unbanked Americans who often suffer at the hands of large financial institutions. Look, banks are not inherently evil. They simply don't have the infrastructure or the cost structure that's required to serve the middle class. Their model is old, and they can no longer afford to serve the middle class. Their overhead and branch infrastructure simply make it impractical for them to serve these customers set at a price that these customers can afford. Their problem is compounded by recent regulatory charges that have reduce the fee revenue they collect from merchants every time a customer makes a credit or debit card purchase. I believe in what those people outside my window are doing. I'm happy to pay more taxes. I'm happy to continue to campaign to get the money out of Washington. I don't want to have an exploitive business. I want to have an empowering business." Well, these words did not age well because the company would eventually start falling apart. In October 2015, a technical glitch during a transition to a new processing partner left thousands of Rush Card users unable to access their funds.
She says a company with a history of problems has held on to her money for months.
It has higher fees than a lot of its competitors. A lot of similar cards make it a lot cheaper to use. And so with Rush Card, you're actually paying a monthly fee. You're also paying a fee anytime you use an out-of-network ATM. And also, the first time you load money onto the card, you're paying a fee.
Today, most of the pictures on RushCard's website show Black or brown people.
I do think they were targeting Black people. They were. So it's a card that's convenient for people of minority with meager means. It is. And it's sad that they treating us like this.
Yeah, guys, many people were trying to use their prepaid cards only to find there was nothing on them. They also tried to reload them over at places like Walmart, but were unable to, leaving them broke and without answers.
Where is the money? People want answers. That's not an answer to my problem.
She can't log on online and can't reach anyone at RushCard.
If you can't physically walk into the corporation or the company and physically speak with someone, it's hard to get results.
We know who you are, and I know you are facing tremendous challenges.
But for many RushCard customers who haven't been able to get their money for more than a week now, the process has been a nightmare.
People like us, we live paycheck to paycheck.
We're not, it's kind of like we're lower than middle class. So we depend on that pay to be there at a certain time.
Sarah Octavia Flores never had problems with her prepaid rush card until last week, when her payroll check was direct deposited, but she couldn't access her money.
This is money I worked overtime for. And I'm sick from it. I couldn't even get my medication. I couldn't pay my bills.
Initially, the company sent emails on October 11th explaining it was doing a technology transition and that everything would be normal within 24 hours. But since then, BBBs nationwide have received complaints from customers saying they haven't been able to access their funds for more than a week with no answers.
All of a sudden, they may have had $1,000 on their card or a few $100s on their card, and it read zero balance. Customer service was not being provided to these individuals.
One of hundreds of angry comments posted on social media since last Tuesday read, "I've never experienced anything like this. Where's the money?"
We are addressing every issue as quickly as possible.
The owner of the company, entertainment mogul Russell Simmons, posted an apology video on social media.
Why would it take this long?
I want to personally reassure you that your funds are safe and that we are addressing every issue as quickly as possible.
The prepaid debit card company faced significant backlash from customers who were unable to pay bills or buy necessities. According to consumerfraudlegalservices.com, RushCard was facing lawsuits alleging failure to refund unauthorized charges, charge disputes, unreasonable blocks or holds, hidden fees, excessive charges, deposit issues, account errors, service issues, downtime, balance errors, duplicate charges, and/or transaction problems. An investigation found that they had botched the processing of deposits and payments by delaying processing direct deposit payments, meaning customers couldn't get their paychecks, take out cash, make purchases, pay bills, or get accurate balance information. The backlash immediately poured in, accusing Russell of exploiting the Black community. Ryan Mack, financial expert and contributor to Financial Juneteenth, said, "Russell Simmons has lied to the African American community for years, telling people that the Rush Card helps you build credit. This is a business of greed and exploitation of ignorance. This is a card with predatory practices, like charging people every time they swipe. Like other celebrity cards, this card has earned a shady reputation." Russell quickly ran to social media to do damage control, saying everything was resolved and the investigation was going to clear his name of any wrongdoing. Well, the CFPB ordered MasterCard and UniRush to pay an estimated $10 million in restitution to tens of thousands of harmed customers, and an additional fine of $3 million. The incident significantly tarnished the reputation of RushCard and Russell's credibility as a business leader. Not to mention, 2 years prior to the card debacle, Russell had already found himself entangled in his most disgusting controversy up until that point. In August 2013, All Def Digital, a multimedia platform company and digital network founded by Russell earlier that year, posted what was supposed to be a satirical video called Harriet Tubman's Tape, which depicted her seducing her slave master.
I had a few issues with this video and the subject matter, and making light of in this manner tells me that you do not understand the serious repercussions of, and you also don't understand how rape was used as a tool of white supremacy in order to oppress Black people.
Russell Simmons is apologizing for a Harriet Tubman comedy skit that was posted on the YouTube page that he basically controls.
Yesterday, media mogul Russell Simmons' new YouTube network, All Def Digital, released a parody video that immediately had Twitter and the blogosphere in an uproar. When it comes to the most painful moments in the African American experience, where is the line between comedy and bad taste?
Your guess is as good as mine. I, like you, saw it come through my stream, and at first I thought it was just some kind of, Twitter rumor or someone just talking, but I found the link. It came across my timeline, clicked on it, and I was floored. I couldn't believe, number one, that someone would think this was funny. I mean,
it's problematic on every possible level imaginable. It's almost a parody of itself, and a parody of how desensitized a lot of people are when it comes to, history. right? Because we're used to the very casual disrespect of contemporary Black women. So this is somebody who's associated with hip hop. We could have a whole nother conversation about the women, the images of women in music videos and the images of Black women on television. But people like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth and Coretta Scott King are typically safe from that level of disrespect.
The first one said, I get it and I respect that the Harriet video has been removed. I was hopeful after that. Then I read the rest of the statement. He also wrote this, I guess I have a sensitivity chip missing, LOL. Haven't been in trouble since Def Jam. Sorry if people are hurt. Whenever somebody says, I'm sorry if you're upset about what I did, to me that is the wackest apology possible. He also said, you know, I have thick skin. He said, you know, I'm fairly liberal. It was almost as if he was saying, I'm going to apologize because you're asking me to, but I actually don't think I did anything wrong.
I don't know how anybody says that's nonsense when you start talking about final edits and what you didn't know was there. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, you were bent over on your knees with somebody behind you. So at any point, so I think, Mark, what we are seeing is, and I think what we have to recognize is that there are multiple generations of our people who have no historical context, and that is our fault.
The video was widely condemned as offensive and disrespectful. This controversy caused significant damage to the reputations of Russell, writer-director Daryl Johnson, and the video's other participants. Russell, who originally tweeted that the skit was the funniest thing he had ever seen, posted an empty apology on Twitter and removed the video, acknowledging his poor judgment in approving its release. He then made himself the victim in this situation by saying the backlash broke his heart. Kimberly Foster wrote, clearly the traumas inflicted upon Black female bodies mattered little in his eyes. The gendered nature of sexual violence allows Simmons and other men to find humor in the implied abuse, while striking out against the violence they feel affects them more directly. This is when the tides really started turning and people were now opening their eyes to Russell Simmons' misogyny and inappropriate relationships with women. But nobody anticipated anything that would come next.
The latest powerful man brought down by allegations of sexual misconduct, music mogul Russell Simmons. There he is. And he is stepping down from his companies after a second woman spoke out.
She says Simmons offered her a ride back home in 1991, but they wound up at his place where she says she was coerced into having sex.
In 2017, the MeToo movement brought forward a lot of heinous allegations about misconduct towards women in the workplace at the hands of very powerful men in Hollywood. And who was one of the many men exposed during the height of the awareness campaign? You guessed it, Uncle Rush. In November 2017, Russell Simmons was accused by a number of women of non-consensual behavior towards them. These allegations range from sexual harassment to rape. Yes, the R word. But let's back up for a second before I get into the breakdown. Because before these allegations, people had already been side-eyeing him for his relationship with Kimora Lee since day one.
You were with Russell when he was with Kimora when she was 16?
I was at a lunch in the Hamptons with maybe about 8-9 people. And yeah, it was a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And yeah, Kimora was there. She barely spoke, if at all, but she was 16 and she was around a group of 20 and 30 something. So I don't, fault her for not speaking. It's just, I'm sure she was young and shy.
The pair met in November 1992 during New York City's Fashion Week, when Kimora was a 16-year-old sophomore with a successful modeling career, while Russell was a 35-year-old businessman. Russell had already been messing with other runway models and had a relationship with Veronica Webb sometime in between his relationship with Kimora. She also admits that Russell had tried to get with her best friend Tyra Banks before they started dating.
I'm older though, I'm 37 years old. I want to travel around the world and chase famous models. I'm still always going to be ghetto. I'm too old not to be.
She told Vanity Fair, Tyra was like, leave her alone. She's a good girl. She's not like those floozies that you know. All the girls were telling me to leave him alone and said he's no good. All the girls that were telling me he was no good had slept with him or were trying to sleep with him, I later learned. Either way, Kimora was unfazed and the couple got married 6 years later in 1998. And began doing business together.
What's up? I'm Kimora Lee, and this is Russell Simmons' One World Music Beat.
She launched Baby Phat in 1999 as the women's wear version of Phat Farm under Russell's fashion label Phat Fashions. The brand was a major success because the clothing was relatively affordable, but still glamorous, and both celebrities and regular consumers had access to it. Kimora and Russell had their 2 daughters, Ming and Aoki, and she was a proud and supportive wife, always speaking highly of her husband, one time telling Vanity Fair, "I feel like Coretta Scott King. I am so proud of Russell. I will do a backflip down the red carpet. I don't care." But in 2006, the couple announced their separation, claiming they'd continue to remain committed parents and caring friends with great love and admiration for each other. But that eventually unraveled over the years, which we'll get to soon. But on the topic of misconduct, Sherry Hines, of one of the first all-female hip-hop groups called Mercedes Ladies, was the first to publicly come forward in a memoir published in 2008, and again several years later, accusing Russell of raping her in his office in 1983 when she was only 17 years old. Unsurprisingly, this story went unnoticed and unreported by the media. In October 2017, Terry Crews was one of the first men in Hollywood to come forward with his story amid the Harvey Weinstein accusations. He tweeted about an incident at an industry event by a high-level Hollywood executive that was later identified as WME agent Adam Bennett. A few weeks later, in November, he blasted Russell Simmons for an email he had the audacity to send following the story that read, "Did he ever apologize? Give the agent a pass. Ask that he be reinstated. With great love, all things are possible." And while this story was being covered by the media, the Los Angeles Times dropped a bombshell article detailing an encounter between Russell and Carrie Clausen Kaligi back in 1991 when she was only 17 years old. She said both Russell and her mentor Brett Ratner took her back to Russell's apartment to show her a music video that they had been working on, and he aggressively came onto her while Brett watched and never intervened.
He continued his advances, and I looked over at Brett at that point for help, and I'll never forget the look on his face. It was in that moment that I realized I think this was their plan all along. There was no help that was going to come.
He released a statement alleging that everything that occurred between him and Carrie, who was 17 years old at the time, was with her full consent and participation. A week later, he was hit with another allegation by writer Jenny Lumet, who wrote a column for The Reporter entitled, "Russell Simmons Sexually Violated Me." The article claims that in 1991, when she was a then 24-year-old writer, Russell offered her a ride home, then locked the doors of the SUV, and drove her all the way to his apartment where he violated her.
I was stunned. I was kind of frozen at that point.
She's the latest woman to come forward to accuse music mogul Russell Simmons of sexual misconduct. Natasha Williams-Block was an 18-year-old freshman at UCLA and had just filmed her first movie, How to Be a Player. Simmons was the producer.
Instead of going back to UCLA, we went to his home in Beverly Hills. It happened very fast, very swiftly, but the next thing I knew, my head was in between his hands.
At least 12 women have accused Simmons of inappropriate behavior. He has stepped away from his companies and has said he will, quote, prove beyond any doubt he is innocent of all charges.
Where did that incident take place?
That was in New York City at his office.
Okay, so 2011 in his office.
Yeah.
And did he force himself on you, or what happened there?
Yeah. So after the interview, he had asked my director to leave the room. He wanted to speak with me privately. So my director left the room. He was doing the camera. And he aggressively came on to me.
And another allegation of sexual misconduct surfacing now against Russell Simmons, the music mogul. That brings the number now to 14.
I did not want to come forward. It was the last thing I wanted to do. Everyone said, don't do it. It's going to ruin your life.
I felt like no matter what I said, nobody was going to hear us.
I was helping him cover it up for 22 years. And I thought, well, let me see what it feels like to just let it go. Let me try.
Drew Dixon, Salai Abrams, and Alexia Norton-Jones say they're all survivors of sex crimes committed by media mogul Russell Simmons.
The three of you aren't describing this just as sexual assault or just as being mistreated by Russell Simmons or sexually harassed by Russell Simmons.
No, this is penetrable rape.
This is violently tackled and raped. It's saying no and fighting and crying.
Drew Dixon says she was working with Simmons when he allegedly attacked her in 1995.
I literally worked for him. He was ordering me a car, and he told me to come upstairs and pick up a demo. I thought I would be in his apartment for 5 total minutes. That's it. And he showed up, naked, wearing a condom, and tackled me to his bed while I screamed and fought and said no and cried. That's rape.
But he cannot address the fact that I was too drunk to consent.
Russell Simmons said all of his relationships have been consensual, and in a statement to CBS This Morning said, "I have issued countless detailed denials of the false accusations against me. These denials have been validated by my passing 9 prosecution-grade lie detector tests." He also referenced changing social norms, saying, "I have admitted to being a massively unconscious playboy, which today is appropriately titled womanizer. The social change from today's activism is more important to the world my daughters will inherit than any dirt from false accusations from nearly 40 years ago."
Simmons releasing a statement in response saying, "While her memory of that evening is very different from mine, it is now clear to me that her feelings of fear and intimidation are real. While I have never been violent, I have been thoughtless and insensitive in some of my relationships over many decades, and I sincerely apologize."
Alexia Norton-Jones knew Russell Simmons before he was famous and says he raped her on their first and only date in 1991.
This was a very swift attack. And what was going through my mind more than anything was, why?
The allegations just kept pouring in as many major publications ran stories by over a dozen women in the entertainment industry exposing Russell's predatory behavior, including former journalist Tony Sally and former Def Jam executive and vice president of A&R at Arista Records, Drew Dixon. Her story gained widespread attention. Drew, who is credited with producing and managing hit songs and albums for prominent artists such as Whitney Houston, Mary J. Blige, and Kanye West, says in 1995, Russell invited her to his apartment under the guise of listening to a new demo. But instead, he allegedly pinned her down on a bed and violently raped her. By this time, Russell was stepping down from his various businesses and liquidating his companies. UniRush, the parent company of RushCard, was sold to Green Dot for $147 million earlier that year, and HBO cut ties with him, removing his name from the all-deaf comedy series. In December, NYPD announced they had launched an investigation into all of the claims made about Russell. But Russell says it's okay because he took 9 lie detector tests and they all cleared his name from all of the allegations. The civil lawsuits began in January 2018. A woman sued him for $5 million, citing similar claims made by the other women. And the lawsuits and allegations just continued to pile up from that point on. Luckily for Russell, the judges ruled in his favor due to the statute of limitations, but the damage to his reputation was already done. That year, he left America and relocated to Bali, Indonesia, allegedly for yoga and spiritual enlightenment. Now, I'm not saying he fled the country to avoid prosecution, but it is a little suspicious that he chose a country with no extradition treaty. In January 2020, filmmakers Kirby Dick and Amy Ziering premiered the HBO documentary On the Record, highlighting the stories of some of Russell's accusers. Oprah, who was one of the original producers of the documentary, withdrew herself from the film, saying Russell Simmons had put pressure on her, and she also thought there were some inconsistencies in Drew Dixon's story. Do with that information what you will. But in response to one of the suits filed by Jane Doe, Russell's lawyers argued that he could not be sued due to a 1997 settlement and agreement made between both parties that allegedly prevented him from being sued again in the future for this particular incident. But Jane Doe accuses Russell and his legal reps of forging her signature on a document settling their dispute over accusations because she said she never made an agreement with him back in 1997. As if these allegations weren't bad enough, Kimora Lee and their daughters Ming and Aoki accused him of being abusive towards them and threatening their lives. The former spouses were in the midst of a legal battle, and their post-marriage friendship seems to have gone sour in recent years. In 2023, Ming made a post on Instagram wishing her mother a happy Father's Day. Russell responded on his own with a repost that read, "Stop telling fathers they should have fought harder to see their children, and start asking mothers why he had to fight at all." In response, Kimora exposed the years of torment her and the kids faced with a post that read, "This is how you maneuver with the world and women all around you. Your threats and lies and intimidation, maneuvers and tactics are sad. Stop it, please. Your own flesh and blood? Enough is enough. You said Aoki and Ming would never work again and that you'd ruin her and them. Really?"
So you all know that my kids are not brainwashed. Been a parent pretty much all my life. I was a very young, probably too young bride. So I had these kids very early. And you guys know how much my family means to me, and you know how much my kids mean to me, and you guys know, all of you that know me absolutely know what kind of mother I am and what kind of family dynamic I have over here. I think it's very important for you all to know, if you look back in our history, I have always been the type of co-parent. You know, we were actually very famous for our co-parenting abilities and, you know, how we always put the good face forward and the good foot forward to the world. So you guys know that. If you pay attention to the time frame, this ex in question brought a lawsuit against me and my family, a completely frivolous lawsuit, where he accused me of all kinds of crazy stuff like embezzling, you know, laundering, defrauding, all these things. Again, everybody that knows me knows that nothing could be like further from the truth. Clearly, I'm sitting right here in my home, right? There's no, you know, none of that. I didn't flee the country. I don't run. I don't have to hide from anybody. I didn't commit any atrocities that I need to answer for, you know, here or in the next life, at the gates, wherever I'm going to get. I don't have to do that like some other people. One day, he just kind of cut the kids off. There was no more money coming in, no more like allowance, quote unquote allowance. I think he probably did that just to double up the expenses on me, which is no problem. I stepped up, I did it. He's even said things to them like, why did you go to college? You shouldn't have gone to college. You wasted that money. You could have saved it. While I'm up here trying to hustle the kids over the finish line. These girls are adults. They are young adults. I typically try to be very friendly and amicable with all my baby daddies, whatever. But I think it comes a time when you guys have to ask yourself, why are these women, young women, not supportive or not really trying to hear that? Or what have they gone through? What have they seen that they, you know, that has turned them off or that has put a bad taste in their mouth? You know, we've seen a lot lately over the years. And I have literally stood by these people and this man all my life. And I just get so emotional when someone tries to attack my parenting or my family or my kids that have tried so hard. I'm very transparent in the fact that, in the sense that, you know, again, people know me. You guys know me. Some of you have never met me. You've grown up with me. You've seen my shows. You've seen my work. You wear my clothes. Others of you know me very well. You know me personally. You know my kids. You know my exes. You know the dads. A lot of people here know both of us, you know, and they know he's wrong. All the friends have said, this is wrong. This is crazy. We don't understand it. But they still support him. I feel like it's one of those things where he's just like a bigger than life kind of, you know, powerhouse, and so he just kind of turns and manipulates the press and people and to believe, you know, anything, like gaslighting, you know, like, that didn't happen. I didn't do that to you. I didn't do those things to you. I didn't, you know, you're imagining things. How many countless women have said this, have been told this, I should say, or would say this to you? Myself and my two girls who are adults included, you know. You guys didn't just start to see my kids. We didn't just go through a divorce. We went through this divorce, I don't know, 20 years ago, 20 some odd years ago. So this is not a situation, again, you can get receipts, you can go see where they say like, oh, kids been brainwashed, but we've been fine up until these past several years. So, you know, what happened? All of a sudden now the kids are brainwashed. All of a sudden now these young women who are grown women are babies. You know, they have their own relationship with you. You have your own not existent relationship with them. I'm just asking that you please leave us alone. You know, I've tried to go to lawyers and get help. I've tried to show all the crazy texts I've had to block. Like, you do crazy shit, like send flowers to yourself and take a picture and post it on the gram and tell everybody I sent you flowers. Again, I have receipts of all of this. I have receipts from your office saying that you sent flowers to yourself without my permission. I have all of this. You guys have never seen it because it just doesn't warrant, it doesn't rise to that occasion. I mind my own business. But please don't attack my children. They've been through so much. Don't attack my family, which is supposed to be your family too. Don't do that because you're at rock bottom. I don't know. Hypothetically, you're at rock bottom. You've hit the bottom. I don't know. You're grasping at straws. I don't know if this is a money grab. I don't really know what this is. I think it's probably all of the above. I have to say I think and allegedly and all these things just so I can be, right in saying like my feelings and how I feel, what I think. I met this person when I was in high school in St. Louis, Missouri. I was modeling. I was 16 years old. Like, I've known you and everybody knows. Again, that's documented. You can see. I believe I was maybe a sophomore. I know it was before junior prom and senior prom because I went to both of those proms alone with my friends when I was dating them. So it was definitely long before junior and senior prom. I think it was around sophomore year of high school. And again, everybody knows this in my life. I was walking around, they see me. The point of it is I've known you a long time and I've seen lots of stuff and I just choose to not go there. Lots of things that I could say over the time. I'm typically the one that he and others would call to have their back, right? I'm the one that they would call to solidify everything, to validate everything. If you always look, whenever they get into trouble, they always want to hop up on the live and do a half screen with me. Again, this was years ago because we don't speak now. But, I'm always the one that kind of puts out the fire. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I just am saying, please, leave us alone. We tried to help you. Somewhere there's love for you. Please try to raise above and just leave us alone. Like, I have done everything I could to raise my kids. I've done everything I could, oftentimes alone. I've been scammed up one side of the street and down the next. And I'm still standing. I'm still okay. That's not, those things the same cannot be said for other people.
Aoki responded on her own by posting a muted screen recording of her father frantically yelling with a caption that read, "This is not someone who will accept help. This is just one screen recording. Sorry, I don't always remember to press record when he calls my friends, my boyfriend, anyone to get a chance to threaten and curse and go crazy." She also shared multiple messages with the caption, "I'm out here praying for you and hoping everything is going well. And you call my mother a piece of shit. He has threatened and bullied my sister. He has harassed my grandma in the middle of the night in poor health. Sent a man to my sister's apartment at 2 a.m. to scare her. He lashes out at anyone who does not say, 'Oh, Russell, everything is fine.' Well, it's not fine. If I never get a fashion job again, like he threatens, I'll be a lawyer, I guess, and work in criminal justice. Sure, I love my job. But if he takes it away from me, I won't die. You don't threaten my sister and grandma and mother and say, 'Who's gonna believe you? I'm Russell Simmons. Nobody thinks I'm crazy.'" Aoki went on to say that she and her family believes he is suffering from mental illness or a health condition.
I did also want to come on here and say that I can't, between a lot of people who are close to him and who have experienced how he is, just lashed out at anyone he can and completely changed the person that he is. A lot of us feel like maybe something's wrong, like mentally, I don't know. He's older, I don't know, but he has completely changed. And then really he suddenly just decided that if we don't agree, it's, oh, you're all like your mother, I hate you, always the same. Oh my, he's just a different person. He has looked me in the eye and I've been like, I need help. I was in Greece doing a camp and I was like, you cut off my debit card. I only got couple $100 a month as a minor. And I was like, I'm in a foreign country and my debit card won't work. I can't even add money to it. Can you help me? And he was just like, no, I sure hope that you don't die on the streets of Thessaloniki. And I was like, no, I'm really stranded out here. I need help. And he's like, well, maybe you should ask your mother not to sue me. And I'm like, you're suing her. And he's like, well, maybe when you decide you're gonna be reasonable, I'll help you. And I'm like, this is unsafe. It's nighttime. What? You cut me off out of nowhere. And he did it on purpose. He was like, oh, enjoy camp. I put you're good to go. I put money in your card. Then he cut it off and I landed. So I'd be stranded. My mom helped me. It was fine. Worst things have happened. I'm just saying he'll look me in the eye and be like, well, maybe when you decide to threatening me. To this day, I would never let a man talk any kind of way to me because my dad was always good to me. And then he just completely changed. Say he had COVID, so we'd all call him. Or if we'd say, hey, I need some space because all you do is tell me how awful I am and how I have my mom's awful genetics. So, hey, like I'm in school, and can you not harass me when I'm in school? He wasn't paying for school, by the way. Can you not harass me in the entertainment industry? Because I shouldn't have to lie or be by a child. I have made so much effort with my dad. I will release my entire, like, WhatsApp log. I'm proud of how I behaved. I have said, I love you, happy Father's Day, whatever. I know things are tough right now, but, you know, I will release the whole thing. I'm proud of how I behaved. I've asked for space or for boundaries. I've said, please don't post pictures of mom when you guys are disagreeing. It's like taunting her. Please don't post random baby pictures of all of us together when you guys are in legal issues. Like, and this all started because he got folks talking about my sister. And you guys know me. You don't talk about my sister. That's when I ended. I only follow him because I was in the media and I had no choice because it was like, why is it? I've been trying not to have drama. So I follow him and I try to be peaceful and I say I love you and happy Father's Day when I can. But I mean, this man has left me stranded in a foreign country. As a minor, he cut off like my debit card and didn't tell me. I'm in Greece, like doing a school trip. I realized all of a sudden I had no money. I go to my teacher, I'm like, my debit card doesn't work suddenly. I don't know what's going on. My mom sent me some money and whatever, but like, he does really vindictive stuff like that. He'll cut you off out of nowhere. He'll cut off your healthcare. He'll cut off your phone bill out of nowhere. Like, you'll be a minor just because you disagree. Or you say, don't call my mom all these names. And I don't like to have drama. I want to be a peaceful person. There's so much that I want to do in the world on my own, as my own self, but I cannot just let you taunt me about my mother. And if he says one thing and disagrees with me, I will post it all because he does it. I have videos of him saying awful things that no one should have to hear about anyone they know, much less their mother. He has called me names. He has called us all house of bitches, all you. He has called us terrible things. All because I wouldn't take his side in a lawsuit. My mom didn't ask me to take her side. She said, you go to school and you do your thing and, you know, mommy thinks some things, but, you know, I have a phone. No one stops me from talking to him. I'm 20. I just don't always feel like talking to him. And over, he posts stuff and does stuff. And we all say, please stop. I don't want drama. I love my family. I'm sure we'll all work it out. It's going to be okay. And I don't post anything because I want to have a peaceful family. But this is him at this point. And I really feel like my career is over, and it's fine. It's just, and you doing that too. So maybe my career is over. You know what? I used to work at a refugee camp. I'll do that again. I'll be a doctor. I don't give, and I can never get a job in entertainment again. But you cannot just behind closed doors and not take accountability. Maybe I'll regret this when I'm older and I wanted to be a model and now I can't be. I don't know, but you don't get to do this. You don't get to do this. I'm sorry, and something tells me deep down that I'm gonna, you know, I'm not gonna regret this. You don't do that. It's wrong. And it's my dad who, if you unblock him for 2 seconds, he starts telling you what your mother is. And now she's going to jail, and she's an illegal person, and she's the worst, and he can't wait to watch her go to jail. And like, anytime you unblock him for 2 seconds, at one point he lied that he had. And so we called him like, all right, you know, this is serious. Are you okay? And he's like, nah, I just faked that to tell you your mother's a piece of shit. And we're like, all right, good morning. You're 70. Like, grow up.
While these controversies and allegations have significantly impacted Russell Simmons' career, reputation, and business ventures, he still has a strong circle of celebrities still defending or supporting him, often citing a belief in his contributions to the music industry and his advocacy for various social causes. There are also many supporters of his who believe that if there is no proof, then none of these allegations are true, which is why cancel culture isn't real. The overall consensus, though, leans towards disapproval and a loss of support for Russell Simmons. Like this video and subscribe to BFTV for more content.